All right, to be mindful of time, I think it's smart to get started. For those that don't know, my name is Ryan Tolson. I lead the offshore wind commercial team within Esgian. I see many clients that have logged on. I see many new names, names that I recognize. But thank you all for attending today. For those of you that do not know who Esgian is, we are headquartered in Oslo, Norway. We're a market intelligence and data analysis company for the ocean industries. We operate in three primary segments. That's rigs, shipping, and offshore wind. My focus being 100% offshore wind, and today we obviously speak on offshore wind. Each month, we host a short and timely webinar that covers a current and relevant offshore wind topic. We keep these to 19 minutes long, and we do this on purpose. We understand that everyone's time is precious, and we want to provide you with quality information in a short period of time. If you haven't already, I do encourage you to sign up for our newsletters. Follow us on LinkedIn. You'll be kept up to date on all future events, news, and our quarterly reports. Within Esgian Offshore Wind, we offer a subscription-based data platform that provides transparency and clarity into the global offshore wind market. Our clients that use this database tend to be developers, companies within the supply chain, consultancies, vessel companies, and we're helping them mostly with business development, but also competitive and strategic analysis and a general understanding of the overall market. But we're very excited for today's discussion. We'll explore the intricacies of developing offshore wind projects in the US, providing insights into the requirements and challenges of building out this expanding market. I do want to emphasize that all information that we cover today is derived and comes from our wind analytics database. And today we have on the call Hiro. He's one of our analysts specializing in the offshore wind vessel market. So with that being said, I'd like to hand it over to Hiro. Hiro, you can take it away from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Hey everyone, and welcome to Esgian's Offshore Wind webinar. Today we'll talk about the US and we'll point out the latest occurrences in this market. This webinar will be mainly focused on the vessel point of view. So, the current state of the US offshore wind market is significant. For the first time, 3 large-scale offshore wind projects are undergoing offshore installation. Previously, we have only seen small demo projects with a few turbines erected. Vineyard Wind 1 has been undergoing offshore installation for more than a year now, and the project is behind schedule. However, 2 more projects, Revolution Wind and Coastal Virginia Commercial, began installation this spring. By far, the Coastal Virginia project is the largest of the project up until this moment. Projects of this scale, of course, bring more vessels into the market. Currently, DEME and Boskalis have large vessel presence in the US market. We can expect more vessels to enter this market in the near future as these projects progress. The drone set can be seen as the clay that has molded the US market, as it has brought forward unique challenges. Many questions have been asked about how to best engage in offshore installation for this market. Solutions that have emerged from these questions include Jones Act compliant vessels, feeder barges, specially built vessels with barge solution, make use of Canadian ports, and more. However, one development that occurred this spring cannot go unnoticed. We will see vessels that are not built in the US using US ports, and attention needs to be paid. We will explore this topic further into the webinar. The fourth solicitation round was a positive development for the US offshore wind market, as it has led to better pricing of projects, promoting more sustainable development. The US offshore wind market is in a better position now than it was 18 months ago, as we have seen a market reset. Although confidence in the market was questioned, but no one gave up on the US market, which is now pushing forward. As recently mentioned, offshore wind in the US is kicking off with several large-scale projects simultaneously reaching offshore installation. This means that vessels are needed. Currently, we see 3 large-scale projects under offshore installation, which are utilizing 7 vessels, with more expected to come. The US offshore wind market coexists with the European and the APEC market. So, acknowledging that several vessels needed for the US market are drawn from the global demand, and where most of the competitive vessels originate from is the European offshore wind market. The European market comes first, and the US and APEC markets come second. Good thing for the US market is that the APEC region does not require a large vessel demand, short and medium term speaking. So it's not a huge pressure at the moment of sending wind installation vessels to the APEC region. The vessel requirement in the APEC is low due to many project CODs are being pushed to the end of this decade. Also, worth mentioning is domesticated Chinese vessels are entering the market outside of China, starting with project in the APEC region. These vessels will absorb some of the demand. And it's further worth mentioning that domestic-built vessels in Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea is a contributing factor of keeping European vessel demand down in this region. It is a good thing. It is less time-consuming to send vessels to the US market, as it is much closer to the European market than the APEC region, especially regarding jackup vessels that cannot pass through the Suez Channel, or most of them at least. It is much easier to move assets back and forth between the US and the European markets. With some planning, you can satisfy the demand in both the US and the European market. These two markets can in many ways be seen as one market. The chart in front of you illustrates the potential demand for installation vessels for upcoming US projects. The green dots represent the minimum volume of vessels required for offshore installation. Considering that we estimate a minimum of 3 installation vessels for each project, we can assume that during the busiest year in the US, we can expect 10, but also up to 20 vessels engaged in offshore installation. For vessel operators, the US market is very attractive, as the opportunities continue to grow. The majority of US projects are estimated to use monopiles as their main foundation type. Given the seasonal piling restrictions and limitations imposed by the Jones Act, splitting up the work is a strategic approach to maximize efficiency. It is notable that more contracts are being split between more vessels, especially for foundation contracts. For monopiles, we see monopiles being installed by one vessel and transition pieces or secondary steel being installed by another. As this approach becomes more frequent, the market demands more vessels. This method is positive as it frees up more time for the few vessels capable of installing heavy components like monopiles, and as well creates more opportunities for operators with vessels able to install transition pieces and secondary steel. In other words, more vessels are coming into play. Possible downside is that it could be more expensive for the developers due to increased number of vessels on site. But this can be made up by sufficient efficiency during offshore installation. For example, earlier this year, we saw Sea Challenger mobilize to assist on Vineyard Wind 1 project with transition piece installation, as Orion held off doing both monopiles and transition pieces for this project and only continue to do monopiles due to time restrictions imposed by seasonal piling. Orion at the moment are just doing monopiles at coastal Virginia, as here too it is restricted to a time limitation due to seasonal piling. What just talked about gives us good reason to estimate that the market will have a minimum of 3 installation vessels on each project, suggests a significant vessel presence in the US market. The Jones Act protects US shipping and commerce, but this act makes offshore installation in the US a difficult task, as extra measures are needed to accommodate foreign vessels required for offshore installation. Up until this moment, we have seen US offshore wind projects taking extraordinary measures in offshore installation to comply with the Jones Act, which the most common have been using barges and Canadian ports to do the task. However, coastal Virginia commercial does it quite different than expected in the US, as DME's heavy lift vessel Orion, which is doing the monopile on the project, are using Portsmouth Marine Terminal, Norfolk, Virginia. So the question is, why can Orion do it differently than other vessels not built in the US but working in the US? Coastwise points are points within US territorial sea, and moving among these points, a vessel needs to be compliant with the Jones Act. What we see at Coastal Virginia project in the US is that Orion is moving monopiles from one point to nothing, which is not going against the Jones Act. No pre-work has been done at the foundation location at the wind farm, which don't make it a coastwise point until the monopile is piled. The seabed on Coastal Virginia commercial allows for the foundation to be piled before any preparation of the location. This gives this project a huge advantage when it comes to piling work. Comparing Orion's transit time between Vineyard Wind 1 and Coastal Virginia, we can see a significant difference. Vineyard Wind used a port in Halifax, Canada, for transportation of monopiles, where the vessel used at the most 46 hours on transit from port to project. Then, comparing this against transit time from Portsmouth Marine Terminal to the project site on Coastal Virginia, the longest transit duration so far have been 12 hours, which is a significant cut from any of the transit times for Vineyard Wind. It's not to say that the seabed condition at Vineyard Wind 1 would have allowed for similar installation approach, but would be ports much closer to the project site than Halifax, which would make it easier for Orion to meet its time frame, which it was not able to do at Vineyard Wind 1. I won't say this would be a widespread approach to go at the US East Coast, as there are several factors that has to be right to allow a vessel to operate in this fashion. But if more projects are able to do so, piling of monopiles can go much quicker, and worries of not making the time frame for piling would dial way down. Yet, the law dictates what you can or cannot do, and if there are ways to go around the law without breaking it, the possibility to see more similar cases like we see at Coastal Virginia are high. Thank you for listening in, Brian.
Excellent. Thanks, Hero. I thought this was a very insightful discussion. So specifically, the innovative approaches to the Jones Act, I thought was very interesting. So thank you for the presentation there. I do want to let everyone know, if there are questions, please type them into the Q&A section. We'll be sure to get to them. But as we're waiting for questions, I do want to touch on a few items. First, we have been spending a lot of time, and we're very excited to be releasing a new and enhanced interface to wind analytics. One of the big additional features that we will have on this this new interface is an updated mapping feature where we have the exact shape files of each wind farm, very interactive experience. If anyone would like a demonstration of this new interface and the database, more than happy to go through that with you. We should be releasing it in a week or two. And that we're very, very excited about that. I also want to emphasize that we do have the mailing list and the LinkedIn QR codes on the screen. I encourage you to sign up for them if you have not already. I don't see any questions coming through yet, but I do want to also mention that next month we will have another webinar. So each month we try to do the third Thursday of each month, but we have some holidays coming up. I believe it'll be the second Thursday of July. We'll have our quarterly webinar, which tends to be a favorite of many. So everyone will get an invitation to that as well. I hope you can join. And we may have a question here. Let's see. We do have a question coming through. Here, if you want to go to the Q&A section, you can see it as well, but I'll read it to the audience. Pipe lay and flex lay vessels have received exemptions from Jones Act in oil and gas works. Will there be similar exemptions for offshore wind? So before Hero, you mentioned that, I do want to emphasize we are not Jones Act specialists. We do have a data platform and we do talk to the market. But Hero, if you have anything to elaborate on that.
I can give a better answer to him later.
Yep.
After
Yeah,
this
perfect.
meeting.
Yeah, no. So I think Dylan, we can look into that, have a one-on-one conversation. But we are not Jones Act specialists, so we don't have further information there. But we can pick up that conversation. We have another one, Hero. With this high demand for vessels, why do you think there are not projects ongoing for building Jones Act compliance new units?
Yeah. Would be a nice touch to have some more jack-up vessels built in the US and Jones Act compliance. It's expensive. It's been a bit shaky in the US with everything that happened with Ocean Wind and so on project. And also the Dominion's vessel now being built have been cost overheads and so on. But it is still possible that we will see a couple more coming through or being announced. But again, it's still in the recovery phase. With the prospect of the US looks very good, so it could well be that more vessels or new vessels will come out of it.
Yep. No, excellent. Thanks, Hero. I do not see any other questions coming on, but I do want to emphasize if you would like a one-on-one conversation about the wind analytics database or have a conversation with one of our analysts, Hero or any one of our analysts, we're more than happy to set those discussions up. But it does look like we do have another question here. Past the projects that you showed in the presentation, how does the US market look through to 2030?
It looks positive. It's a bit difficult to see past 2030, like giving good numbers, but it definitely is not a falling curve. It will be a growing curve there. But how many projects and how it will look, we have to wait and see for the next couple of years to see how leasing rounds and so on will go.
Yep. And I do want to emphasize and add to Hero. Within our database, we have a clear indication of seeing what's planned country by country, including the US. We have a whole list of all offshore wind farms, the contracts that are coming through. So it's very easy to get a good view on each country and what's happening in the future within the database. And there's another question that leads to the database. The interface that I spoke about, the Wind Atlas, open to everyone? Currently, it's it's a subscription-based database. We can have a discussion about that further. But as I mentioned in the beginning, our clients, our developers, companies within the supply chain, vessel companies, really giving them a clear understanding of the overall offshore wind market in a very easy to use interface. And I think it's something that we can talk about later and give you a demonstration and show you about that. But I think that's it. Thank you everyone for attending. We did go a little bit over 19 minutes, but not far. So I think we're good. With that being said, we will see everyone next month. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.